welcome to The Island Lamb. I'm Diane, and this is episode 20, Hopping into Spring on Block Island. And I hope you enjoyed some of that footage at the beginning of the episode because it is absolutely glorious here, as it is in most of New England and the mid-Atlantic states. We have our forsythias in bloom, and the daffodils are popping up, and the tulips, and the leaves are unfurling from their dormant stage on the trees. The grass is green. And the air is, we're starting to feel and get some of the southwest winds coming in. So typically our winds are coming from the northeast in the winter and in the fall, but in the spring we start to feel some of that southern air. It's a softer air, it doesn't have that bite to it. My husband and I walked the maze, which is where some of that footage happened. So the maze is this beautiful, it's part of the Greenway Trail system, and it's on the top of a cliff, which you will see there's quite a bit of erosion, but it looks north and it looks northeast. So on a clear day, we can see the Newport Bridge all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. We can see the south of Rhode Island. And if we walk around to the west side of the island, we can see parts of Connecticut. We can see Montauk, New York. So on this time of year, it's really a joy to be out walking. The brush hasn't grown. The brambles haven't grown yet. So you don't have to worry about poison ivy or ticks really if you're walking in the paths and in the fields. So we had some beautiful walks, and now I'm so happy to be with you and talk about some spring knits. And I know a lot of us don't do a lot of spring and summer knitting, especially people who live in the South or live in the Southern Hemisphere in the summer, and us in the winter, and us in the summer. But over the years, I have begun to knit for spring and summer, and I have gotten a lot of joy out of that. So first I'm going to talk about, this is really kind of a spring, fall, even winter. You've seen this before. This is the lemon pullover. It's a Bohus Stickning design. In episode 8, I spent a lot of time talking about this, so I'm not going to go into all the details of it. If you're really interested, there's a couple of things I would suggest. You could go to my episode 8, where I talk about my experience and some of the modifications I made. And you can also go to the Fruity Knitting YouTube channel and look at episodes 12 and 13, where you will go right into the depths of the whole Bohus Stickning period. And so I'll just give you a quick little recap. So this sweater is a Bohus Stickning design, and Bohus Stickning was and still is a phenomenon that really happened in the Bohusland region of Sweden. And this particular pattern was designed by Annika Malmström Bladici, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And this was designed in 1959. It was recreated by Salva Gustafsson, who did again, that is brought up in Fruity Knitting, and also in my episode 8, she went back and recreated a lot of these patterns with the approval of the Bohus Stickning Museum in Sweden. And then in 2010, a woman by the name of Pernille Silverberg worked with Salva and recreated and revised some of these patterns for a more modern fit. And so you can buy this pattern, and there are many others, and you can buy them on Pernille's website, and I will include that in the show notes. She raises Angora rabbits, so if you buy a kit, you're getting Angora and Merino, and she treats these rabbits with such love and tenderness and care. She hand clips these rabbits. So if you're interested at all in this style of knitting, I do recommend those episodes. I'm wearing it today, and it's about 54 degrees out. I don't have my heat on in the house. I have the windows open. I'm very comfortable in this. I think I could probably wear this even on a cool night in May. I can certainly wear this in September and October, and then in the winter. So if you're, like I said, if you're at all interested in this style of knitting and these beautiful yokes, this is knit on a very fine needle. I used a US 0 and a US 1.5. These are special garments. There were only 5,000 of these garments created in its heyday. And movie stars and celebrities and actresses were really the only ones who could afford them. They were offered in specialty clothing stores, and Ava Gardner, Ursula Kitt, Grace Kelly can be seen in some photography online wearing these beautiful garment. So I just wanted to wear it today because it was perfect weather for it and just remind you about this style of knitting. So what I have on the needle, what I have on the mannequin is sort of making me feel happy because, you know, I was away on vacation. We were in the U.S. Virgin Islands. We were looking at these colors in sapphire blue every day from our deck and on the beaches. And it was just, it was such a mind fulfilling experience to just look out and see those colors every day. And so it reminded me of a sweater that I had made, I think 2 summers ago. So this is a really fun pattern. So this pattern is called For the Love of Remnants. And it was really designed with our stash yarn in mind. And the designer is Kate Hiester. And she really calls this a recipe more than a pattern, because you can go through your stash. You can make this in many colors. I made this in 2, but I'm going to be hopefully showing you some photos of the pattern where she used multiple colors. You could do multiple colors up top and a solid. I had this leftover yarn, which is called Sunshine, which is not available. I bought the last of it on Webs a couple of years ago during one of their big sales. And I bought it in sapphire, I bought it in this aqua, and I bought it in this bottle green. And I made several shawls and ponchos that I gifted and sold. And this is what I had left. And I wanted to play with this. So this is actually a fingering weight yarn that has a nub in it. And the pattern calls for a fingering weight yarn. But I would say, and she says this in the pattern, that again, it's really a recipe. You can play with this. Just try to get gauge. She doesn't hold you to some specific numbers. And if you look at the pattern, you will see that. It's a very interesting design, and I'm showing you the schematic. And so you're casting on for the neck, and you're going to split those. You're going to use a provisional cast on it, and you're going to split those. So you're going to have live stitches for the front and live stitches for the back. You're going to work up the top part first, so you can, again, you can play with your stash, play with color, have a lot of fun with this. And then once you finish, once you get to this part, you're going to seam the sleeve, and then you're going to work in the round all the way down. And I don't recall if the pattern had waist shaping, but I put some waist shaping in. This is really comfortable to wear. You could make this cropped. Again, like I said, you don't have to make this in 2 colors for the main body. I could have just made this in the bottle green. I did and I think the pattern did call for it, a garter stitch rib, not a garter stitch rib, a garter stitch hem. And it is, very drapey. I wear this with white jeans or white summer slacks. Beautiful colors, beautiful pattern, beautiful concept. Get rid of your stash. So some of the things that I have, I really only have one finished object. And it all started because I got an invitation to my husband's great niece's 1-year birthday party. And the invitation read, "Some bunny is turning 1." And I had made these sweet little bunnies and this little wild rabbit pattern. I've made these a couple of times over the years. I'm showing you some photos of those. One with a little carrot that I made at Easter time for a little boy, and one with a little ornament that I made for my sister-in-law. And it really started because I made the baby bunny for my hairstylist a number of years ago when she had a baby. And when I made that, I found more of these patterns, and I made another one for, like I said, a little boy. And grown-ups, my grown niece and my grown sister-in-law were all like, "Well, I want a bunny." So they've become a favorite with my friends and family. And I knew I had to make one for my niece. Now, I've already, our great niece, I've already given her that, so you're going to see a photo of that. But I can show you, and the one I made for her is very small, and I used stash yarn. I had all kinds of yarn left over from projects. I did run a 1 strand of alpaca silk, not alpaca silk, mohair silk blend to give it a little bit more of a furry feeling. I used child-proof safety snap-on eyes that I got online, and I use polyfill to fill these. But I did make this other little bunny. This one's a little bit bigger, and I just want to show you how sweet these little bunnies are. So I had leftover Barocco Ultra Alpaca Chunky, and this was left over from my number 9 sweater. That was that raglan sweater with the turtleneck. And I fell in love with that yarn. I was worried that it was going to be stiff, but once I blocked it, it was very comfortable. It's 50% superfine alpaca and 50% Peruvian wool. And I had about a skein of that left because I just bought it in, it was in my stash. I didn't buy it just for that sweater. I think I bought like 12 skeins or 10 skeins and put it in my stash and didn't use it all for the sweater. So I had a skein of that, and I had some of that mohair silk Southampton yarn from Valley Yarn, which is Webb's yarn, and I always have this in my stash. This comes in a lot of different colors. It's fairly inexpensive. It has incredible yardage. There's 230 yards on a skein, and it's 72% kid mohair and 28% mohair silk. And the alpaca, the ultra alpaca, is a chunky. So I just carried one strand of the chunky with one strand of the mohair silk, and I got this. And I had some leftover yarn called Woolly Bully. And the Woolly Bully, let's see, who is that? The yarn company is called, I will put it in the show notes. It has a cute name. But anyway, it's like a little boucle. And so I made that for the little tail. So this is the bunny that's laying down, and there's another one that stands up, and you'll see that in the photos. That's the wild bunny. Now these bunnies are designed by Claire Garland, and she's also .pebbles_ on Instagram. And I will also include in the show notes her website. She does some tutorials. She did a cute little tutorial for this bunny because I bought this pattern many years ago, and her tutorial is a little different construction than the pattern. So if you're interested in making things, I think it's worth taking a look at the tutorials, deciding what you want. The wild bunny is a little bit more of a commitment. There's a lot more going on. You have an opportunity to use a lot more of your yarn, and you can marl or what is the word I'm looking for? Kind of meld the colors and make a lot of changes. The baby bunny, this one in particular, I just decided to make it in the white, the off-white. So it's Claire Garland .pebbles_ Instagram. Or like I said, I will put in the show notes her YouTube. Oh, the Woolly Bully is by Hikoo, Hikoo. And I've used this yarn to make a cool hat that has like a, ear flaps. You can use this for a lot of different things. So this was in my stash. This yarn was in my stash. The baby bunny yarn was in my stash. I like to put a little bow on her or him. The wild bunnies, you actually will put, you'll make the flip side of the ear, and I did light pink. This is just a fun, beautiful way to use your stash. Spring, everyone's gonna love it. The kids in your life are gonna love it. The adults in your life are gonna love it. So once you start making these, watch out, you're gonna get requested to make these a lot for a gift. So what I have on my needles, okay, so that same great niece. So I bought the book, The Velveteen Rabbit, and I gave her the baby bunny. And I also wanted to knit for her. And I don't know about you, but I don't really love to knit for infants. I just feel like that's usually a lot of work and a lot of love that goes into something that child isn't going to wear very long. So I like to start around the 2-year mark. And I let the mom know, I'm going to maybe give you the bunny now, but eventually I'm going to start knitting for your baby. So I decided to do the festival pattern. Now the festival pattern, and let's see if I can find my notes. Well, I thought I was really organized. Yes, here we go. The festival pattern is by PetitKnits, and it comes in a lot of different sizes, but I decided to make the size 2-3. And here's where I'm at. So I am so enjoying making this pattern, and I highly recommend it. I haven't even finished it yet, and I'm already thinking I probably could make the size 1-2 because that's a pretty good size. And it's, there's a lot of give in the neck. I'll go through the details with you, but I do think I might make a smaller one for this baby and then also send along. So she'll have it for now, and she'll be able to grow into this one. But the pattern called for, let's see, Double Sunday by Sandnes Garn. I think I'm pronouncing that right, Sandnes garn. But I happened to be in Walmart when we came back from vacation. Because we live on Block Island, we usually have to do a big shop. We have to fill our freezer back up, fill our fridge, fill our pantry. And we accomplished that, some of our shopping at Walmart. Some, produce we'll try to get at a different store, but I'm in Walmart usually once a quarter. And I like to walk through the crafts section. I was looking for some seam binding tape for some of my other projects. And I came across this yarn, and this is interesting. This yarn is called Mainstays. It's produced for Walmart, and it's made in Turkey. It's 100% cotton. I'm going to show you the label. Let's see. It is so soft. Now, in my last episode, I showed you a cone of cotton that I bought at Walmart as well, that I make those market bags out of, and it's very rough. And I don't usually knit cotton for babies, unless I do a blend. I worry about washing and shrinking and the stiffness of it. But I felt this yarn, and I said, you know what? I already had this sweater in my mind. I'm just going to get it. It was $3.49 a skein, and there's 180 yards on a skein. They had a soft mint green. They had this beautiful blue that you're seeing, kind of like a powder blue, and this very dusty pinky rose. And I said, I'll put it in my stash. If it doesn't work out for this project, I'm not going to feel bad about it. The cost is right. Inside the wrapper is the pattern for a crocheted baby blanket. So worst case scenario, make a baby blanket. But I had great luck. I love how it feels. It is machine washable and cold. I don't have a agitator inside my washer machine. It's a top load, and it doesn't have an agitator. So I think I would be comfortable putting this in a little bag, a machine wash delicate bag with my Eculon, and cold and delicate. You don't want to put this in the dryer. You want to lay it flat. So anyway, the pattern has you knit a 1x1 rib, and I'm trying to think what the bind on was. I think it was just a regular cast on, a 1x1, and you do that for, about an inch or so. You do a purl row, and then you continue with your 1x1, because you're going to roll this over and you're going to knit it. You're going to pick up a stitch from one side and knit it into the other side, so it's a double. And I was a little afraid that was going to be, especially with cotton, might be a little tight. So, I just wasn't sure how this was going to go, but you can see beautiful stretch and flexibility. So this is definitely going to fit over a baby's head. There's German short rows in the back, so the back is going to sit higher than the front, and I like that for a baby especially. And this sweet little bobble row, which is accomplished over 2 rows, and it's so much fun to knit this. Divide for the sleeves. There's no waist shaping. You just get into this, rhythm of knitting this. I'm going to go a few more inches. I'll do my rib. I'll pick up my sleeves. And like I said, I think I'm going to make this in a smaller size, and maybe look and see if I can find some little denim baby jeans, or a little printed little dress or something to go with this, and send this off to California. That's where our great niece lives. So that has been, between the bunny and that baby sweater, I have had so much fun. Right now, I'm thinking about my knitting. I'm thinking about what I want to knit this spring and summer, especially when I want to knit this fall and this winter, because Webs, I love Webs. That's that big online yarn company, and they also have a retail shop and a warehouse, and I visited it this October, and it was incredible. But I also subscribe to their catalog. It's a free catalog, and they're having a big sale right now until the end of April, and then in May they have their big tent sale. So I want to spend some time this week going through my stash. I've used a lot of it this year, and seeing what I have, what I need to fill in. I want to get some fingering weight. I need a little sport weight. But I also want to think about some projects, things I want to work on this year, and what I want to work on in the fall and the winter. And I haven't really decided what that's going to be yet, but that's my plan for this week. And the other thing I'm thinking about, and I want to tell you about a podcaster. So the podcast is called Scandish Home. If you love to clean house, or if you don't love to clean house, I think you'll find her inspirational. I watch her just for the fun of watching her. She's incredible. And she creates her own cleaning supplies, which is something I've been thinking about for a while. You know, we buy these spray bottles of things, and I have a hard time cleaning and then breathing that in and getting a little overwhelmed. One of my bathrooms doesn't have a window in it, so you know the ceiling fan's going and I'm trying to get those fumes out. But so these are, she gives you the recipes, and I'm going to do that today. And I bought the bottles, and I bought the vinegar and the Myers cleaning solution, and I have essential oils. So I'm going to make a couple of different products. I'm going to make myself an everyday cleaning to clean my countertops and to clean around my sink and just the basics. And then I'm going to make one that is for glass and for mirrors, and that one's going to have vinegar in it. And then I'm not going to make up a batch, but when I have to do serious cleaning, like the inside of my stove, especially the window, you know, that glass window inside your stove gets kind of grimy and cooked on grime. And she's got a great recipe for that. That includes baking soda. I never get those right. Baking powder, baking soda. I think it's baking soda. But so those are things I'm thinking about right now. I go through my stash, come up with what I want to order. Also I want to make a trip to my local yarn shop for some specialty yarn. And then I want to really do a good spring cleaning, and I want to do it with healthy for the environment, healthy for us cleaning products. And I think that's going to be a little fun. I want to get my little potpourri pot going with some water and some essential oils and freshen the house, open the windows. I'm going off island. I'm going to visit with my mom this coming weekend. Her garden club is going to Boston to the Museum of Fine Art. And I want to tell you a little bit about what this is going to be about. So the garden clubs in Rhode Island will come together, and they'll go to the museum before this event, and they will be able to see several different masterpieces. And the garden club will have a chance to look at the masterpiece, to photograph the masterpiece. They will be given a container by the museum for each one of the masterpieces, and the garden clubs will go back to their towns, and they will produce an arrangement that will, in their opinion, mimic or express what they saw in the masterpiece. And then it will be open to the public, and this is the event that I'll be going to this weekend with my mom, and we'll tour the museum, and we'll be able to go into the exhibit where we'll see the masterpiece and we'll see the flower arrangement. And we will hear from one of the museum volunteers. We'll get to hear about the masterpiece, and then she will tell us what the garden club's inspiration was, what flowers they used, and who was on the team of people who made it, and we'll get to see who won the award. So I hope the next time I see you, I'll be able to maybe show you some of those photographs. I'm looking for inspiration, you know, always for my knitting and for color and design. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And then I'm going to bring my mom back to the island with me, and maybe I will do a video with her and talk about her sewing background and some of the things that she sewed and we sewed together. And so I'll be looking forward to sharing that with you hopefully next year, next podcast. So thank you for sticking with me. I know it's been about a month since my last podcast. I hope you're all well. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful time of year of renewal, rebirth, enjoying getting outside in some fresh air. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye. Thank you.